5:30, so I'll call the meeting to order. And the first item is the consent agenda, which is all the following items which concern reports and items of routine nature normally approved for the AHA meetings to be approved in one vote unless any trustee desires to have a separate vote on any or all of the items. The consent agenda consists of discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Minutes of the monthly finance meeting, April 17th. Minutes of the regular trustees meeting, April 17th. Check report, April 9 through May 8th. I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Hannaford, second by Dr. Self. Roll call, please.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Self.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Next item is CEO's report.
Oh, wow. Today we have the D&D surveyors in for the critical access survey. So they have been here all day today. They'll be back tomorrow and plan to do their exit interview tomorrow at 11:30. So we look forward to that. We also were notified this week that CMS has received our packet for our critical access application, and they will have through July 9th to approve that. So we will know something by July 9th, according to their spokesperson. So we may be getting somewhere. I tell you what, it's funny to see the staff's reaction to the surveyors walk in today, because usually everybody's like, oh my God, the surveyors are here. Everybody's like, surveyors are here. So, on with business, normal day, no big deal. So that's what you want. I mean, you want your staff to know that they've done as much as they could do and feel as comfortable as possible, and it shows. So the surveyors were very complimentary, the staff and their attitude. One of the surveyors said that he actually kind of walked in with a bad attitude this morning, and he said it wasn't long before being here and around our staff that he was very uplifted by their attitudes, and he was very complimentary of the staff, so that made us feel good. In my report, you can see that we've hired 3 new staff. Shirley Conaway is a MA in Dr. Lawrence's clinic. Christy Mormon, many of you know her. She is staffed as our Human Resources Director. Jennifer Horn has been at the nursing home for many years, and she is transferred here to the hospital to materials management. Going through the report, we had 3 swing bed admissions with an average stay of 5.3 midnights. We continue to work on our quality assurance program, strengthening it, and that continues with this survey. They have some opportunities for improvement in our program that they've recommended as well. So that is a continued work in progress. Risk management and compliance, we had 3 occurrences in April. 1 has been addressed and closed. 2 are still being addressed or investigated. And attached is a list to indicate the occurrence category and the appropriate changes in education were implemented if it were to identify it. Satisfaction surveys, we had 17 surveys completed for the emergency room department, 14 for urgent care, 8 for inpatient. No trends noted. Discharge planning, Ashley completed 18 acute care patient discharge plans. We had 12 seen in Dr. Mullen's cardiology clinic. Dr. Goldford was here and provided respiratory competencies for the nursing staff. Emergency preparedness tagging system. In-service was provided the 18th and 19th. Thank goodness, because that is a part of this survey. April 2nd was Dr. Hicks's first day at the downtown clinic, doing well. Seems to be building a practice well. He's up to about 15 patients per day down there. I spoke at the Northwestern Nursing Pinning Ceremony last Friday. We've been cleared of all of our survey deficiencies by the state. And I told you the rest of that. Do you have any questions for me?
The number for the cardiology, is that pretty typical, average, up, down?
Kind of down, kind of slowly declining, I would say. She was at one time seeing nearly 20, and it seems to be steadily slowing down.
When Dr. Hicks is 15 average, is that still light?
That's still kind of light, but I mean, that's good for him because when he was here, he was only seeing 4 or 5.
Right.
So
Okay, great.
15
Yeah.
is a great improvement from here
Good.
in that amount of time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay. Next, CFO report.
We need to have approval of this.
That's right, okay. I hear a motion for the approval or disapproval of CEO's written report.
Make a motion to approve the CEO's written report.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call vote.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Now.
Okay. For April, we had gross patient revenue of $1,833,850, which is an increase of $1,506 compared to the prior month. Patient days for April were 69 compared to 78 in March, and our total clinic office visits for April were 1,404 in April compared to 1,515 in March. Our contractuals for the month of April was 57.3% of gross patient revenue. The accounts written off to the collection agency for the month totaled $116,173, and we gave $781 away in charity care. Our operating cash balance at the end of April was $58,681, which represents 2.2 days worth of operating expense. Our accounts receivable balance was $3,175,137, which increased to $135,057 during the month of April. Our gross days are 52.9 in April compared to 49.4 in March, or a 3.5 day increase. Our accounts payable balance for April was $885,916. This represents 76.3 days of operating expense, excluding costs related to salaries, benefits, and depreciation. Our net operating loss before sales tax was $250,947, and after sales tax and other contributions, we ended up losing $178,080. I'll flip over to page 2. Is your, of course, your 6 months side to side. If you look at the other expenses, you'll notice that that's up again, but that happens every quarter. That's the shop payment. That's something that we pay the state, then we get reimbursed back for it. That's like $74,000 of extra expense, and that helps the Medicaid program pay us later back for that. Otherwise, I guess the biggest thing you've noticed over the last couple months is the salaries and wages. You see that that's up about $70,000, but the big difference is if you look back in December at the professional fees were at $106,000, we're down to $8,281. We're finally got all of our staff for like the emergency room and all the contract staff as far as that does, and so that savings was able to be there, but those seen some extra increases in our salaries and wages. The other good thing that happened in April was sales tax was up a little over $6,000. We're up to $93,080 compared to $87,390 in the prior month. Page 3 is just your other expenses, and like I said, the biggest change that happened was the shop payment of $74,385. Page 4 is your 2 years side to side. This year, we're at a $1,593,000 loss this year compared to a $925,293 loss at the same time last year. Page 5 is, of course, our cash balance. Page 6 is our accounts receivable. And 7. Pages 8 and 9 is the balance sheet. And the last 3 pages is really all of our statistical summaries and stuff. Outpatient volume stayed very well last month. The inpatient volume kind of dipped a little bit, so you can kind of look through there. On the clinic visits, we did expect them. They were down a little over 100 visits, but we kind of expected that because we're out of the flu and cold season that we had earlier on. So, is there any questions I can answer?
No questions? Okay, moving on to Dr. Self and the medical staff executive committee.
Okay, we met on May the 10th, and Candace or Kevin, would you remind me where these guys fit into our program, the first 4 and reappointments?
Just a second, let me get back there. They are all telehospitalists,
Okay,
so from St. Anthony's.
all right. So coming from the medical staff committee, these are all unanimous recommendations from medical staff for the, so I'll make a motion for the reappointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Matthew Jarrett, MD.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Hanford, to reappoint courtesy staff Matthew Jerry. Roll call vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes. People not showing up at least makes the roll call vote shorter. Make a recommendation for the make a motion for the reappointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Jis Matthew, MD.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Mr. Ward, to reappoint courtesy staff Dr. Matthew. Roll call vote, please.
Ford,
Yes.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Make a motion for the reappointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Nicholas Albright, MD.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Hanford, appoint to courtesy staff Dr. Albright. Roll call vote, please.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Make a motion for reappointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Adam Gardner, MD.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Mr. Ward, to reappoint to courtesy staff Dr. Gardner. Roll call vote, please.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Hanford,
Yes.
And so on Dr. Tucker, is it something like we have to have a dentist on staff and we don't have one, and that's what we're doing? Okay. And then Jerry Darter, he's our CRNA that works with Dr. Ransom.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'll make a motion for reappointment to allied staff of Gerald Darter, CRNA.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Hanford, to reappoint to allied staff Gerald Darter. Roll call vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes. And I make a motion for appointment to courtesy staff of Dr. Charles Tucker, DDS.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Mr. Ward, to appoint to courtesy staff Charles Tucker. Roll call vote, please.
Ward,
Yes.
Hanford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
The other comment is we continue our medical staff meetings to have open conversations and discuss things to try to improve care, and it's nice. We have some relaxed time that we're able to back and forth and trade ideas. So that's in my report.
Any questions to Dr. Self? And to the coffee report.
Wow. Okay, so this report will eventually get smaller. It is massive at this point. If you'll remember, QAPI is the big thing that we've been working on. QAPI meaning quality. And quality is of the utmost importance in delivering care. So I'm not going to read you this whole entire report. You probably have the report.
We're just gonna have to share it around
Oh, we're
because
going
we
to-
can't have, I mean.
Oh yeah, you cannot take it home with you.
Right. If you- here's
Because
a-
there are protected information in that we don't. But you can see throughout the report some of the things. This is my, yeah, there's one of my books. You can see throughout the report there are things, do you want to pass this one around? I'm going to get one out. Hang on. These are all of the initiatives or tasks that we're working on. And each department is tasked with discovering what's most important for them to look at in regards to their area, in regards to patient care and providing care safely. So they pick some tasks and initiatives to follow, and once they feel like they have conquered it, they move on to another one. It's not, this is an ever-changing document. It's something that things will fall off and new things will come on. So for instance, surgery initiatives. For this period, they had 100% compliance. A couple of the things that they were monitoring was to assure 100% of their patients receive anesthesia, have pre and post anesthesia evaluation completed and documented. There were 14 procedures in February and 18 in March, 10 in April, and all of those were compliant. So that's one of the things that she was looking at. Another one was to improve patient satisfaction. The first patient will be back to the room by 8:20, and that was, they were compliant 100% of the time in February and March with a total of 6 procedures. So, and the reason why is we've gotten some complaints. If you're that person having a colonoscopy and have fasted for all that time, you're grumpy and you don't want to sit there till noon with no food and your blood sugar's dropped and you get kind of hangry. So we've moved that up to try to improve patient satisfaction. So just flipping on through those, hopefully this meeting typically will last about 2 hours. We hope to get it down to about an hour, and it is getting closer to that. But this information is provided so that you can see exactly what is going on in the hospital, and to make sure that we are on top of it, and that we're aware of issues, and that we are actively working towards resolving any issues that might come up. Trying to think outside the box of today. The surveyors were helping us think of situations that that we hadn't recognized before. So.
Yeah, and part of this too is from the very first state survey. We monitor stuff for 6 months because it is problematic, and so we're monitoring to make sure that what we implemented is actually happening for 6 months or longer, so we get to 100% compliance, and then those will offer, and we'll bring out new items to look at. The part is just to make sure that what we implement actually happens.
And some of those things that do go off don't mean that they actually go off forever. It might be that it remains in our SQSS system as a mental check note for a manager or an employee to check to make sure that that's still being done. And that's what the SQSS system helps us do. It's kind of like Excel for quality. You know, it's there to help you document and remind you and show your trends and compliance or non-compliance. You can actually, this summer or this fall, they're coming out, and we're really excited about this. They are going to tie employee performance into the SQSS system. So you'll be able to reward your employees who do a good job at using SQSS and getting their tasks that are to be monitored in a compliant manner, who aren't late. You could reward them during their evaluation time. You would have some actual data to back up for their evaluation, so that's pretty exciting. So any questions on that? I'm going to skip over to the last page and just go over the quarterly report. The laboratory, their tasks were 100% compliant with blood utilization review. They had several educational tasks that reflected that they needed to continue working on that. So the company is actually helping us figure out how to get PRN staff trained. That's staff that doesn't work very often, but when they do work, they're expected to have the same training that we have, that everybody that works full-time. So they're helping us try to get those, what are they called, notifications, pushed out to them when they are on site. But I think that's enough. You guys have any questions? I could ramble on and on about quality. But this is the heart of what we do. This drives everything. It goes through every committee. Any committee that we have flows through QAPI and then through MedStep up to the board. Good enough?
Okay. Next is improvement to patient care.
And if you'll remember, improvement to patient care is simply those contracts that we have in place with all of our different vendors. We review those contracts bites at a time so that we have to review them all annually. And so you can see there's one page in here that we reviewed and they were all compliant. It helps us find those contracts that we need to archive that we're no longer using. Any questions about contract reviews?
Questions? Move on to some policies.
Address those. I can't. We have two policies and a procedure manual that I need you guys to approve tonight. The first is our space heater policy. We didn't have a space heater policy actually in the hospital, but we developed one that tells the criteria of what kind of space heater is allowed in the building. Space heaters have to go through the maintenance department, they have to be inspected, and they have to meet certain criteria. And so we spelled that out, and so that's what the first policy is that we'd like for you to approve.
Make a motion to approve the space heater policy.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Ward, second by Dr. Self to approve the space heater policy. Roll call vote.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Okay. The next policy is a new equipment policy. We revised our policy a little bit. It states now that any piece of equipment that comes into the building is not to go anywhere but to our central supply area, which is where purchasing is. Maintenance will inspect the equipment and put a sticker on it before it can be used anywhere in the building. So that's really what that policy is stating, that everybody understands, and we did the education to all the staff as well on this, so. But we need you guys to say that you're fine with us doing it that way.
I make a motion that we approve the new equipment policy.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Hannaford to approve the new equipment policy. Roll call vote.
Self.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
I just have a question on that. So any piece of equipment that has a sticker on it then is maintained by HMS?
Either HMS or us, because it's something that they don't take care of.
Okay.
Yes. The next one is approval or disapproval of the pharmacy policy and procedure manual. When the state came out, they had lots of things we had to redo our policies as far as our pharmacy room, our drug room. And so we've revised several policies throughout there. One of them is that we use a remote pharmacy thing that reviews orders every day. Some of the flow of the way that we do different items through the pharmacy. So they went through and they looked at all the policies and reviewed those, and the state approved the policies that we're going to present to the policy and procedure thing. These policies and procedure, just so you know, went to the policy and procedure committee, which has a doctor as well as mid-level on that, so they've reviewed that as well. And of course, we got the state's blessing on it, so I'm asking, we have to approve the policy books once a year as well, so I'm just asking that we approve that.
I make a motion that we approve the pharmacy policy and procedure manual.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Ward to approve the pharmacy policy and procedure manual. Roll call vote.
Brown.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Self.
Yes.
Sheriff Convalescent Home.
Okay, the operating cash balance for April was $39,106. This represents 3.9 days of operating expenses. Accounts receivable balance of $682,677, increased $31,903 during the month of April. Accounts payable balance for April was $319,477, which represents a 55.1 days of operating expenses, excluding salaries, benefits, and depreciation. The convalescent home gross patient revenue for the month totaled $364,633, which was a $17,409 increase compared to March. The total days actually were down compared to March. The contractuals, less bad debts, and charity care for April were 3.2% of gross patient revenue. The operating expenses, excluding salaries, benefits, and depreciation for April totaled $129,043, a decrease of $17,817 compared to the prior month. The convalescent home salaries and wages for April totaled $137,406, which was an increase of $1,590 compared to March. The net operating income for April was $25,562. The net income for April was $25,568. Our agency on page 2, Kevin, the other expense is where our
That's part of the agency, yeah, yes, another stuff.
It was down from March, it looks like. However, do you think there's some?
Well, you have other stuff in your
I have other
agency
stuff,
there.
okay. So I'm not sure where that is, but that amount, whenever I looked back, has just been increasing over the months, which we know is mostly agency staff. I don't see anything else that's out of line. If you have any questions, the detailed balance sheet is there. We continue to increase or at least stay stable with our census, our nursing home days, and which are all up from previous years and the last months. And our report for the nursing home. Toby had an in-service helping the elderly adjust to long-term care. When residents come to the nursing home, they go through a lot of adjustment. They lose a lot of things. And Toby pointed out those things to the staff. We also had an in-service on first aid. We did receive our stand-up lift replacement parts, and the maintenance department is trying to match all the serial numbers with all the parts, and they'll start fixing those. We did receive a new lift also. That was donated by the Oklahoma Hospital Association. Is that right? I think. Yeah. And our average daily census for April was 57. Our skilled nursing days were 215, which was an increase from March at 167. We had 6 skilled admissions and 2 long-term care admissions. We have new employees. Kaylee Hamilton, she's a CNA. Shirley Conway, I guess y'all took her. She started at our place. That just keeps going on. Oh, here's another one too. Lindsay Haas.
What does she do?
I know what she does. Hayden Rader is a nursing CNA, and Fonda Martin is
All in good fun.
all in good fun. Absolutely, we have to do that. So we have been hiring staff. We actually have 6, I believe, in the VOTEC CNA training right now.
When will they be finished?
They should be finished. I'm going to lock them in the basement. They're mine.
No, I don't want them. I want agency
They should be,
to go
yes,
away.
they should be out in, I believe, 10 days. I believe.
Really?
Thank you. Real close. They're doing their samples right now. Dietary, at the time of this report, was looking for 1 full-time employee. I believe they're looking for 3 now. Kevin.
And 2 applications.
Yes. However, a good thing in housekeeping, we are still looking for some housekeeping to replace a couple of part-time people that were in school. We'll either get part-time or full-time. Toby Rao designed a recruiting pamphlet. She went to Woodward to the High Plains VOTEC. She went to the OT Autry at Enid. And she also went and spoke at the VOTEC for the LPN nursing programs. We haven't had any calls yet. It's still a little early for them to make, but she did have questions, and we're hopeful. There's usually 12 to 15 in those classes. If we get 1, it's better than none.
And that's something I think Christy will be good at, helping.
Yes, I think so.
Helping you guys out with that.
Absolutely. We do have a couple of graduates that will be taking their NCLEX this summer. 2 junior RN program, and they can take their LPN, so they'll take those in June. I'm not telling you. That's enough. We got to get this on an even deal. 1 for 1, you know. And we were notified that we have another new set of regulations that will be enforced October 2018 for the resident assessment instrument, also known as the MDS. And we'll be looking through that and seeing what we can do there. And we had quite a few this month. I know this is this month, but we had quite a few guests for Mother's Day. And if y'all see Christy out in the garden with her rototiller, we're planting flowers in the butterfly space. So her and a resident, she's kind of teamed up with another resident, and they're out there getting that all set up. Any questions?
I think Rita deserves a big pat on the back. We don't give them enough credit for what they do. I really would challenge you to go spend even half a day and see what they do, because it takes special people to do that, and it's hard to find those that can stick it out and that love that kind of work, and they're called to do that work, and so.
And it's harder nowadays.
It's harder.
It's hard for the younger ones.
It is.
Really hard. You know, they've all probably sat with their grandmother or something like that, but that's one-on-one. You know, they've got 10, they've got 15, they've got 18.
Yelling at the same time.
At the same time, so it is really hard. But it's rewarding. Absolutely rewarding.
I made my kids go over there when they were the two older kids, when they were 10 and 11 or
Yeah,
so.
something like that.
Made them spend a couple of summers over there just walking around. They didn't want to go. They were very intimidated by it. But once they broke through that, they absolutely loved it. They found those people, you know, that want to be read to or watch, you know, something on TV.
They have so much to teach us.
They do.
And they've been through so many more hard times than we could ever imagine.
Yeah. There's a lot to learn.
There's just a lot. Thank you. I know. I'm not stupid.
What's he saying?
Better get still.
I think we ought to do sticks.
Any questions of Rita? Kelly, Homestead?
The Homestead had in April $61,084 in rental revenue and $10,790 in meal revenue for a total of $71,874 in total revenue. Our operating expenses, they're down quite a bit from last month, but last month there were a couple of things working against us. We had extra food delivery, and that was the main thing last month. You can see our supply budget is what's high there. So, but we did have $50,000 operating expenses for the month of April, which even that's pretty low, even for what our normal is. So, I guess folks were just really paying attention to what we were doing in April, maybe, or maybe our needs just weren't as high. I can't really attribute it to anything in particular. So our net income for the month was $21,838, and that is not the highest, but it's one of our highest net revenue months for the fiscal year. Year to date on page 2, or you can look at the month and year to date comparisons for last year. Our revenue was up compared to last year for the month of April by about $5,000. But we're down by about $10,000 year to date versus last year. Our operating expenses were up by about $3,000 compared to April last year. But overall, and based on some of the things that we had in previous months, our total operating expenses are up about $43,000. Our net income, still have a net income, is almost $112,000. Year to date versus 165 last year. Our occupancy for the month of April It was 46 residents a night for 83.7% occupancy. That's down about 3.5% from March, but it's still well over that 80% mark, which is where we like to try and be. We're anticipating finishing May still over that 80% mark, but we did have some folks have to move out for various reasons, mostly due to their health conditions. Compared to last year, our occupancy in April is up 4%. As of May 3rd, we had 47 residents and 45 apartments. We still had at that time 4 residents on an unoccupied status, meaning they were still holding their apartments at the homestead, but they're not at the homestead because they're dealing with health issues in other facilities. And we had 1 move-out notice pending, again for health reasons. We've had a bad run of health-related issues here lately. The activity stats you can see there, some of the highlights. We did have kind of the last trip by the NWSU soccer volunteers. Those girls have been coming out once a week on Wednesdays and spending time playing cards and other games with our residents after between 5:30 to 6 and later into the evening. We also had the NSA students there for the Homestead Senior Prom. They've been doing that for the last 4 years. The residents love it. They'll come out and play music and dance and have refreshments and all of that. And, I think they crowned a king and queen. We had 2 queens this year and 1 king. So, but they have a lot of fun with that.
Do you have a lock-in after it's over?
Well, we let them go do what they want. We don't generally have to call law enforcement when it's over, so that's all right. Those types of comments aren't funny anymore now that I have a 17-year-old daughter. So.
Get over it.
We also, at the time the report was written, it was an upcoming activity, but the Friday before Mother's Day, we did hold our ladies' tea party. We changed the venue a little bit this year, moved it from our normal place was the activity room, but this year we closed the cafe down for a couple hours and decorated everything up. The staff put together a great brunch for the ladies and their guests, and I'm going to say we had 70 or 80 folks in attendance, and we asked Janice Melton to come and deliver some encouraging words to the group, and she did a fabulous job, and so I've received a billion expressions of praise and gratitude for that event. So it was very nice. The staff did a great job. And people really appreciated it. Planning a trip down to Holders this month to go get Jack and Jill, so I think everybody's going to enjoy that. And then, of course, we've got a lot of different entertainers, game days, and that kind of thing that generally on our calendar. No new staff. In April, we have hired one that'll be on the May report, hopefully more than one that'll be on the May report. Our cafe is doing really well with regard to their budget. They're just slightly over budget for the month of April, but year to date they're just slightly under budget. So where our goals are. In April also the cafe staff put together and served our foundation donor and volunteer appreciation dinner, and that was fantastic. We did have a health department inspection, kitchen, and some minor deficiencies are noted and being corrected. And we are continuing to work on some refurbishment facelift type projects throughout the building, getting ready for our 20th anniversary coming up in August. I'm happy to answer any questions about the homestead.
None? Okay, what foundation you got?
The foundation met on April 26th. We had conducted our normal business, our routine business, and then and heard the financial report and written report. And then we did approve our 2018 Hospital Authority Scholarship recipient, which I'll be presenting tomorrow at the awards banquet at the high school. And so, read the paper.
I'll be taking your picture.
They also approved purchasing 3 wheelchairs, and that's an understatement. The wheelchairs, they are definitely people movers, but it's the wheelchairs for the emergency department, and they'll hold oxygen tanks and IV poles and people, and they all the apparatus that could go with a wheelchair is affixed to these wheelchairs, and we approved the funding for the hospital purchase 3 of those at $7,347, and so those are in place and being used now in the emergency room. The board also approved, I don't know if it's been purchased yet, but
It's on order.
it's on order, a Lucas chest compression system, which is an automatic, it's for chest compressions during CPR. So the ambulance has been using the Lucas system for, I guess, a few years now anyway, and so this will have the same equipment in our emergency room as been on the ambulance, and it really saves a lot of energy for our staff, and it allows for consistency in chest compressions whenever you have to go for long periods of time doing that on patients. So great addition to the emergency room, and the foundation, we received a donation at the end of 2017 for $25,000 that made it possible for us to do all of that. So that was great. And I did mention the volunteer and donor appreciation banquet. It was well attended, and I got a lot of good feedback after that. So, but I think that is all of what has happened, what's getting ready to happen. We try to periodically, and I'll be looking at this next week, go through and look and see what of our restricted funds do we have balances in that meet current needs at the medical center. So we'll be going back and looking through that in the next weeks. I know there's some education dollars, and there may be some other dollars that we can funnel back.
Any questions for Kelly?
Dr. Self, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Bridget?
All right, on that. Just a few items. I think we talked about branding last time, so we are officially SSM Health St. Anthony Hospital. So hopefully you've seen some of our commercials or radio. I think we've put a lot of work and effort in the last couple of months to kind of get that kicked off. We also, Saints Dermatology in Mustang recently opened. Also, our Neurology Institute is coming up very quickly. It's diagonal from our main campus in downtown Oklahoma City. So if you're up and around there, you'll see that that's coming up very quickly, which we're super excited to have all of our neurologists and have an institute there. Saints First NICU. I know that y'all don't have very many babies, but in the event that you do, we've kind of re-rolled out. I think we started the NICU back in November, but we wanted to be sure that everybody knew that we could use the 1-800 number or the same Saints First number that you can call for transfers for patients can be used for NICU. So we've been recently just rolled that out. I think other than that, I don't particularly have anything. We've had a busy month, but it seems to go by so fast all the time. We do have a local celebrity, Kirsten Ratcliffe, that works up in our department with planning and marketing, won the marathon, the Oklahoma City Marathon. So we've been proud of her. She's got big posters up around St. Anthony, so she's kind of a local celebrity.
And she's from Oregon, is she right?
She is from Oregon. Yeah, she's a small town girl, so we're very proud of her. She came in second last year, and she was determined to win this year, so we've made a big to-do there this year. So that's all I have, unless y'all have any particular questions.
Dr. Lawrence asking med staff if there's a particular weight or age max for NICU admissions.
There is.
35 weeks from date of conception.
Okay, and then there's something else about grams or something. I had those cards with me and I left them at Weatherford. And I will send those to Candace. We'll scan them up and send them out to y'all so you'll have those as well.
Anything else? Dr. Hannaford.
With the way the calendar fell, we meet next week, so there's no report. I know that disappoints you.
Let me give you a couple of reports now.
Since there's no chairman, there's no chairman's report. Is there anybody that wants to bring any new business that came